Well, look what we have here. When I ordered these, I had almost no temptation to review them, but now that I have them, I want to. Reasons. So today we're going to do a review of the next two figures in the Utano Prince Summer collection, Jinguuji Ren and Hijirikawa Masato. Again, these two are part of the ALTAiR line, much like the other two, a subline of ALTAiR who make pretty boys rather than making pretty girls, so it's pretty much my favourite thing ever. While these two are far from my favourite characters from the series, I wanted to get the entire set because I have this feeling they're going to look kind of incredible together. To get this out of the way, the bases look identical to the other two from my previous Utano Prince Summer review, just in yellow and blue this time. They're good bases, I like them, and the only other accessories they come with are changeable heads and microphones, much like the other two. So today we're going to kick off our talk of figures with Jinguuji Ren here. Ren was sculpted by Iwamoto Kunihito, who was also responsible for the Tokiya figure from my previous review. So I was excited about this figure for a few reasons. I thought, first and foremost, that the sculpt was absolutely gorgeous, and a huge factor in that was the incredible character design. While his outfit is much less flamboyant than the rest of them, he still looked amazing and had this pose that was completely fitting of his character. So let's just mention the changeable heads with this one, and I actually really like them both. We have the pouty face, which I assume is supposed to be his version of a singing face, and we have the winky face. I'm personally favouring the winky face, but I can see myself changing it up now and again. Though sadly I don't have a ton of positive things to say about him. I think the pose and the outfit are both wonderful, the colours are excellent, even though it looks like someone went a little bit crazy in the purple department on the hair. However, this figure left me completely disappointed on two counts. Firstly, the microphone. The microphone was so finicky to put in. I did it wrong the first time and immediately paint scratched off the microphone, and his hand now has a black mark on it. This is kind of my fault for assuming that the microphone went into a different part of his hand. The way that you put it in is actually just straight up and not at an angle. If you get this figure, don't make that mistake too. All of this fluff and massive amazing hair and feathers looks incredible and is really well detailed, but this is the cause of most of my problems with the figure. Neither of the heads fit. There is this obnoxious and really plainly obvious gap between the collar and his neck. While I mentioned with the Tokiya figure before that the seam for his head was a little bit odd because his scarf was a little too tight, the neck for this one is all wrong. There's this gap here, and it's really hard to explain why it's so horrible, but I really hope you can see my issue with it. If you look at the way that his neck is sculpted, his Adam's apple is incredibly prominent even at the bottom of his neck, so when you put his head in there, there's a very obvious gap, which has kind of ruined the figure for me. I have no idea if this is a regular feature on all the figures of him, and I'm probably the only one who cares, but I invested nearly 8,000 yen into this guy, and I was not expecting his neck to look like this. I know that this figure overall is kind of amazing, especially from a distance or from below at the very least. And I know that this could just be some quality control issue, but my heart broke when I saw him. However, like I said, he looks good from below, so my Utapri collection will be top shelf material one day. So let's talk about Masato, because apparently people really like this character. While he does stand at the bottom of the Bishis in my favourite character awards, my goodness, this figure is incredible. And again, this figure was sculpted by Iwamoto Kunihito. Remember the issue that I mentioned before with Tokiya and his scarf trying to strangle him? I choose to believe that they've done everything in their power to make this guy look the opposite of that, and oh my goodness, has it paid off. I should change this guy's nickname to Slightly Loose but Also Fitting Collar. This leads me very nicely onto the heads for this one. Of course there is the singing face, and then there is the sad, very Masato-esque brooding face, which I'm not a fan of. See, the whole set together is supposed to give a dynamic of this group of guys giving a performance. Nothing about this face screams that he's enjoying himself or having a good time performing for his adoring fans. He looks bored, like he wants to go home. Or like his microphone stopped working mid-song, and this face is just totally unfitting for the whole dynamic they're trying to go for. There is an easy fix for this though. We're just going to forget this face exists. His outfit is kind of spectacular though. It has all the fluff that Ren had, but it's also got tassels! Although his entire outfit is in perpetual motion, I genuinely think that it's really well designed, aside from one tiny little thing. I don't like the shoulder decoration at all. It just makes his shoulders look far too big, and if you'll forgive me for this sounding dumb, it looks like it's made out of plastic. Yeah, I know, the whole thing is actually made out of like plastic and PVC and all those things, but the great thing about figures like this is they don't look like they're made out of plastic. This shoulder thing does, and it's vastly inferior to Ren's shoulder decoration. From a distance, his looks like it might actually be velvet. Though to say that and the other face my only gripes with this thing, I'm actually very happy with it. While these figures can have glaring imperfections, I can forget about it when we look at them all together and we start to see how the group dynamic works. I cannot wait for the last two, and I will be hoping for a surprise to seal one day. Also, if you're looking for these figures, they cost around 8,000 yen each, including postage, and I will link to a place where you can find them in the description. So thank you for watching. Next time I make one of these figure reviews, it might be about the Perpetual Player 2 who had an entire year dedicated to him last year. Though, who can say? Nothing about this face screams that he's enjoying himself or having a